I never took a filmmaking class, but I did take a photography class in college. But this is called an establishing shot. You know, where are you at? Where are you at? What are you doing? What are we going to do? What's the plan? Yeah, what's the plan? So anyway, kinship is a funny thing. Well, you know, kinship is being somewhat problematic. You know, like, are you really, really related to this person by blood? I don't know. I don't know. But standing in the middle of the street's not a good idea, typically. But anyway, getting away from that for a minute. I don't know, historically it's probably always been true. I mean, there are people, humans, that systematically murder other humans. Now they call them serial killers. But they didn't always call them serial killers. But anyway, but they do. They systematically murder repeatedly, deliberately. And they're good at it. When they get good at it, then, well, they're never caught. Well, rarely caught, let's say. So anyway, let's say, you know, you're a big family. Say they had 12 children, no, 13 children in your family. Your mom and dad and 13 kids. All right. Let's say you were the, well, third down the pike of the children from top to bottom. Oldest, second oldest, third oldest. All right. All right, say your name was Carla. Carla. And say the name of your family was Rose. Right, let's say that to be true. Yeah, your family name Rose. Or Rosetta. Yeah, that'd be like, we're just making up shit. That's what filmmakers do. They write a screenplay. They do a treatment for a screenplay. Then they write a screenplay. And then eventually they make a movie. You know, if you're lucky. You know, you have to be pretty devilishly lucky to make a movie. You know, well, you know, some people do it on the fly, on credit cards. Yeah, Spike Lee did. One of his first movies, I understand, by legend, he paid these people by telling them to line up and they'd fill up their gas tanks. So anyway, so you have a big family, 13 kids. Now, you know, like one or two of these kids are gone bad, gone rogue. Yeah. But mom and dad don't know. Or maybe mom and dad are rogue too. Rogue being a kind of a all-purpose word for bad seed. Right? Bad seed. Well, anyway. Yeah, and serial killers typically, or what we call serial killers now, when they're unapprehended, that means not caught, not arrested, jailed, and then prosecuted, then they continue killing day in, day out, day in and day out. So the question is, when does a person become a murderer? When does a person actually make the decision that they want to murder? Well, like, consider the Jeffrey Dahmer case. Right. Well, he was lonely. And anyway, he picked up this guy, lived in Ravenna, Ohio. And he picked up this guy and he took him home. And anyway, they were lifting weights. And the guy wanted to leave because he had a concert he wanted to attend. So anyway, and suddenly Jeffrey just upped and bashed the guy's head in. Killed him deader than a doornail. And then dragged his body under the house. Hid it. and then, well, took it apart and buried it. That's supposed to be his first victim, but he was in the Army, see. He was very violent in the Army. I know because, well, I was in the Army too, and I know how violence is. When you're drunk, you know, you can be very violent. So I think Jeffrey Dahmer actually killed people before he killed this guy in Ravenna. So what happens is, let's say he killed people routinely while he was in the Army, but never was apprehended. Mostly because he was blacked out half the time when he got totally fucking drunk. Now, I had a blood alcohol level of 2.98 very recently, which is, I consider like toxic. That was on July 12th. It's called alcohol overdose. Right. Yeah. I mean, I got drunk so fast, put so much alcohol in my system that literally my body shut down. But I was actually at the hospital, so it didn't matter. I knew I was going to be there because, well, certain things are planned ahead. I don't know why, but I'm deviating. A person doesn't want to deviate too much. So let's say you had an aunt and her daughter named Rebecca, or Becky, okay, we'll say Becky, was a nurse. No, let's say was a doctor, had made it all the way to medical school, became a full-fledged doctor. But the doctor had certain propensities. They liked money, really, really liked money. And they didn't think they were getting enough money because they were working in a government store. I mean, they're working for the VA. So, they decided that they could consult with patients from time to time and ask the patient if they felt at liberty to sign papers in front of them. These papers released basically the doctor from any responsibility, but there's a little caveat. The little caveat was they assigned the doctor the rights of whatever insurance policy they might have, these patients might have. And so then the doctor, being a clever doctor, Rebecca, Dr. Becky, she would use a syringe, and then when the patient wasn't looking, administer what they use for people undergoing ECT. So like in the movie, I'm taking this kind of like plagiarizing a little bit. In the movie Exorcist 3, yeah, like that, where the Gemini killer uses that, but he's dead, but he's able to control, you know, creatures, you know, comatose people normally in some surreal way. Anyway, Dr. Becky kills the patients, and then their insurance policy, and it's a really good insurance policy, by the way, is paid to the doctor, and the doctor starts reaping lots of money. Now, then the doctor got really ambitious and started planning these things ahead. You know, put a patient on a plane, and you know, and then cause the plane to crash. Well, you know, you get like really decent money from that kind of shit. At least I've been told. Scuttlebutt. But anyway. But that being said, all right, so let's say doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs sometimes become serial killers. Right. So anyway, yeah. Serial killers are very manipulative. That's why they call them sociopaths. Yeah, sociopath. I was called a sociopath once. My test came out. It's called the Minnesota Multi-Phasic Personality Inventory. Came out, 35% psychopath and sociopath and some other parts. I didn't play it too closely though, I didn't want to. But anyway, so let's say, not me personally, I would never be associated with a serial killer. But let's say, hypothetically, you did. We're related, like Becky. Like, you were the brother of Becky, and you were worried about Becky having become a doctor and then murdering her patients systematically. What happens? Well, you might, write a letter, like, Ted Kaczynski was killing people systematically with, what's called the Unabomber. Once I was investigated as possibly being the Unabomber, I was in jail for a robbery. But anyway, yeah, you might write a letter to the FBI saying that you think your sister Becky is murdering people, has become a serial killer, and needs to be stopped. And you have a little bit of evidence to that effect. What would you do? If they caught Becky in the act, you'd probably shake your head and say, that's the way the fucking world is. People are different. With that slightly suggestive comment, I'll leave this go. This is Operations Officer Codename Windfall, also known as